telling you to bring a fresh Southerner to compete against Tinubu, a Southerner, is trying to tell you to zone the ticket to Tinubu, and Tinubu will win outrightly.
I think Atiku should become the daddy of this thing, who stands behind Peter and whoever his running mate will be, which I hope is Dati.
He says he did not work in the government. It's not a crime for a man to be invited to serve on a committee.
Hey, what up, guys? So in this video, we're going to be talking about Peter Obi, the coalition, which is ADC, of course, then Keneth Okonkwo, because it seems like Keneth Okonkwo, the days of Keneth Okonkwo supporting Peter Obi is over. This guy has come out to say a whole lot of stuff, and I'm going to be talking about that later in this video. Then also, we're going to be discussing INEC. I'm going to be telling you guys about what is happening, like what is the updates on INEC. And of course, we know recently Peter of Nigeria has been dragging INEC for a reform, which I'm going to be discussing in this video. So still on the matter with Peter Obi and Abacha, Peter Obi has come out to drop more proof, because of course a lot of persons were making this a thing. And when it comes to Peter Obi, I don't know how he does it, but he always keeps documents. And he has come out with another major document, because a lot of persons were making this a thing. We had the likes of Sowore, like I said in my previous video. We had the likes of Sowore, we had the likes of Daddy Freeze, Sheilo, spreading different news against Peter Obi, saying that he worked for Abacha and all, guys. But he came out to drop evidence this time. This one is not just an interview, but he has come out to drop evidence. And this was what he said. He was like, our engagement with General Abacha, setting the record straight. So that was what he released on his Twitter platform. In consonance with my established principles of defending everything I involve in, and in the interest of all men and women of goodwill, especially those committed to the pursuit of truth, I hereby attach the letter which documents my co-opting, along with others, into the task force on the decongestion of the ports. As I stated during my interview at the weekend and consistently maintained in the past, I had never met General Sani Abacha before that encounter. Our meeting with him was born out of collective concern as traders and importers over the prolonged delays in clearing goods at the ports. We approached him not as political actors, but as concerned citizens seeking pragmatic solution to a matter affecting economic activity and livelihoods. Our intention was clear: to advocate for efficiency and to propose practical steps towards restoring normalcy in port operations for the benefit of the wider business community and ultimately the Nigerian economy. This clarification is offered in the interest of truth to reaffirm that our actions were driven solely by a sense of civic duty, not political ambition. I don't expect this copious evidence to bury this Abacha case, because the mischief makers have ulterior motives, but it's being placed in the public space for posterity and in line with my transparency pledged to Nigerians on any issue I'm involved in. So after he released this, he came out, and he dropped evidence. In fact, he dropped the document of what he was trying to say. And this actually blew my mind, because for somebody like Peter Obi to always have evidence, every time they have dragged him for something, you understand, they have spread rumors against him, this guy is always coming out with evidence, to back up his claim. He doesn't just talk. That's why he talks about go and verify stuff. And I don't think there is any human in Nigeria that can actually back up their claim with verification as Peter Obi. So a lot of people in the Twitter space reacted to this, and this was what they said. They were like, any small thing you don't drop evidence as if you are in court. I know this is a ploy to drag Tinubu into mistakenly dropping proceeds certificate as CSU certificate. It won't work for you. We are bigger than the game. One thing I've learned from Mr. Obi is the power of documentation. Never waste a second to send the email. Draft it over a phone conversation. Joke not with evidence, and of course, keep your lane out of the stain. Then this person was like, this man is too easy to support you. Go and verify it's not just a statement, it's your lifestyle. You are the blueprint. Peter Obi's transparency is second to none. The fact that they decongested the entire port in weeks without anyone complaining of stolen items. So that's what happened. He was sent to decongest the port, and he did that in just 2 weeks. In fact, everybody was shocked at that time, of course. So they said, you understand. And it did not stop there. Rueben, Arise presenter Rueben Abati came out, and he came out to defend Peter Obi, you know, because a lot of persons have been making this a thing, you know, to drag Peter Obi over the Abacha case. And in fact, even in the Peter Obi letter, when he wrote that on Twitter, he actually said that he's not expecting the mischief makers to relax or to even believe what he's saying, because they are just there to push propaganda against him. But Ruben Abati came out, and this was what he said. He was like,
story.
No, I don't think that, you know, all the people who are attacking Mr. Peter Obi should keep wasting their time. One, he's a politician, he's a citizen. He has a right to make his own choices. He has a right to express opinion. And what are the kind of opinions that he has been expressing? He says he thinks that Nigeria can be a better place. He thinks that a better Nigeria is possible, I think, P-O in capital letters. Okay, how does anybody have a problem with a man who says we need to invest in education, invest in health, improve the circumstances of Nigeria, even if he cites the example of Bangladesh, Singapore, and they also call him Mr. China, you know, giving examples from other parts of the world. So a man who says, let's engage in a conversation about how to make Nigeria better and how to help people who are in distress, I don't think that should be a problem. Whether he says he is running in 2027 or not, and all that should not be the issue. Let us focus on the ideas. He says he did not work in the government. It's not a crime for a man to be invited to serve on a committee and say, oh, there's port congestion, you are an importer, you know the port very well, what ideas do you have? You chair the committee. That's service to the country. So I think that, you know, this personalization, this ethnicization, this provincialization of politics serves no purpose.
I'm not surprised that this is coming up against Peter Obi.
What
is politics?
Or previous story?
Allegations of working with Abacha.
Okay.
In a process to demonize somebody in politics, people will use all sorts, including lies. The funny thing is that most of the politicians that are shouting today that somebody worked with Abacha, which he has explained that it was to lead a committee for decongestion based on the fact that they were businessmen that went to complain. Most of the politicians that are talking today, they worked with Abacha in their time.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic.
Right.
Right. The running mate to MQ Abiola, didn't he serve with Abacha? So, you see, a lot of them, when it suits them, they play this politics of, it doesn't concern me. But when they see another person, they try to smear. That's the name of, and that's why they tell you that if you want to know who your mother dated before she met your father, go and do politics. So they will say also, both is true, both is lie, both is gone, and more will come.
All right.
The only offense you have done is that you have ventured. Look at politicians fighting today. They were both in the same camp before. Once they are at different camps, they start to fight.
Okay.
But please, like Dr. Abati said rightly, the argument should be about the best idea to move Nigeria forward.
Absolutely.
None of them comes to say, okay, this is how much I will spend on a national health insurance scheme for poor people in Nigeria so that you will stop out-of-pocket payments. You will never see them do that.
All right.
All they keep doing is, oh, this one, they pay your wife money, they pay your wife. And that's why I've dared them, and I dare them. They should release that forensic report. Let's see if the violence will not catch fire for everybody.
Then yet again, in fact, this one, some set of persons will not like this one, you know, because we had Peter Obi visiting the same nursing school that refused to sing a particular song to our first lady. They refused to sing that particular song, and the same nursing school, they were singing this song with all their hearts. Anyway, just watch the video.
We no get another one. Now your mama be this so. Only me to know go. Now your mama be this so. Now our mama be this so. We no get another one. Now your mama be this so. Now our mama be this so. We no get another one. Now your mama be this so. Now I'm a baby, so we don't get another one. Tinubu.
So before we talk about INEC, let's actually talk about Keneth Okonkwo, because it seems like this guy, this guy has totally backed out of anything concerning Peter Obi, because every opportunity he has, he actually comes out to maybe either demarket Peter Obi, or he comes out to say something to make his claim that he's not actually supporting Peter Obi. You understand? So he came out, and in this interview, he was talking about even in a coalition, because everybody, in fact, a lot of persons, or the highest percentage of people actually come out to say that Peter Obi must be the face of this coalition, except a particular man, which is Keneth Okonkwo. And he came out in this interview and he was saying that the reason why Peter Obi should not be, the flag bearer of the coalition. And he said it with all confidence. He was like, they need a northern a flag bearer right now. And I think the major northern flag bearers will be either Atiku or Rufai. But that's what he was saying, that they need a northern flag bearer so they can also play the Tinubu game like he played it in 2015.
The big question here is, how do you know Bola Tinubu very well?
Yes.
You know the APC as presently constituted. How do you want to defeat that tendency in our political climate at the moment in 2027?
Now, it is a very easy thing if people would yield to strategy and not sentiment. Give Bola Tinubu his own style, his own strategy, and he's back to Bodilon. What did Bola Tinubu do in 2015? He went to the north, picked a man that he knows that all the northerners are in support. As at that time, Bola Tinubu wanted to be president because he said it's his lifetime ambition. But he knew that if he, as a southerner, tries to take out an incumbent southerner, he will fail. Because nobody has succeeded from the same section of the president, incumbent, to take out an incumbent president. He went to the north and brought a man that he knew that all the northerners are supporting. And when he brought him, any combination from the south took out Jonathan. And he bided his own time. And he came in later to become the president. That is strategy. If my own strategy this time around is that I am going to support a northerner in 2027.
Really?
Yes. And it must be my condition to the northerners. It must be a northerner that the whole north will be willing to support.
Like an Atiku.
If the whole north is willing to support an Atiku, why not?
Or a Tambuwal.
If the whole north is willing to support, why not?
Or an Rufai.
Good. The person must be qualified, must have experience, and if he has experience in the presidency, it's an added advantage. And when we put up anything from the south, that will push him through. Let me tell you.
But would that be fair? Would that be fair that there was an 8 years of Buhari, a 4 years, if the case is the way you have put it, of Bola Tinubu, and then now the South has not had a share of 8 years in the rotation understanding of Nigeria, politically speaking? Would that be a fair game?
Good. Thank you for this question. And let me use this opportunity to clarify. The term of the president is 4 years, not 8 years. According to Alex Ekweme, what they agreed initially is that this post will be rotated amongst the geopolitical zones for 4-year term. And it will, in 24 years, it will have completed. But when Obasanjo came in, that was why Ekweme contested for 2203 election. That was when he said it. When Obasanjo came in, he took 8 years. But what happened? When Yaradua came in, before he finished one term, he died in office. Did they not insist that he must finish his 8 years? The answer is no. You know why? It is one term for the president, and the 8 years is for the incumbent. If the incumbent is doing well, if there is a supervening event that stops an incumbent halfway, the other half is there for every Nigerian to contest. And if it goes to the other side will now spend 4 years. That was what happened between Yaradua and Goodluck Jonathan. Yaradua spent 4 years. Just take it 4 years. Of course, you know he died before the 3rd year. And then it was a supervening event that did not allow the incumbent to finish the 8 years. What happened? Goodluck Jonathan came. The North said, please, let us finish our 8 years. They said, no, it's a joint ticket. Something has happened. And this is the vice president. Treat it as a joint ticket. Let them divide the position now into half. 4 years for the North, 4 years to the South. And after, it will come back to the North to finish its 8 years. And that was what happened. Even when Jonathan wanted to now continue to do 8 years, the North said no. That will now be injustice. And they fought, and they took it back to the North. And the North finished 8 years. Now it is back to the South. And Tinubu has become incurably bad. And now you want to terminate his incumbency. Anybody telling you that it's injustice, if the North comes in, if the South comes in, and whoever wins in a primary election will take it for 4 years. Where is the injustice? It has happened before. So, and anybody telling you to bring a fresh Southerner to compete against Tinubu, a Southerner, is trying to tell you to zone the ticket to Tinubu, and Tinubu will win outrightly.
So you are saying that invariably that Tinubu's possibility of becoming or being re-elected in 2027
yes,
is incumbent on the opposition fielding the same candidate from the same zone. But that if the opposition wants to beat Tinubu and the APC,
yes,
the candidate must come from the opposite zone.
Absolutely. And I'll give you the reason. In 2019, the opposition wanted to use Atiku with Obi to beat an incumbent Northerner who had just done 4 years. Did they succeed? No, they failed. And what happened? Tinubu, strategically, in 2015, he used a Northerner to remove an incumbent Southerner. Did he succeed? Yes. Because that is
he conceding to the fact that the North has a more political weight in the power game?
No. Let's look at it this way. Somebody from your zone, if you listen to Olufalaye said his election was rigged. But immediately the people rigged him out. They prevailed on him that he is a fellow Yoruba person that he contested with. Why not let him leave it? We have not had a good electoral system. This election is going to be written, like I've always told you, in 2027. They have already prepared it. Have they done electoral? Yes, have they done
Do you have evidence to that?
No, I told you 2023 there was technical glitch, and they have not given us the excuse till today. Technical glitch, by my own definition, is the process of suspending an election so that you can write it instead of transmitting it. And there is no assurance that it will not have in 2027.
If you say
so
that
if they write
the
2027 and is a fellow Southerner that you're competing with, they will prevail on you. Please leave him. He's your fellow Southerner. And then that is how they will steal the election. So if you bring somebody from the Southeast, even if you win, they will steal it from him. Let me tell you the strategy that will make the Southeast man to be president. Do you know the Southwest has never contested election against an incumbent? Strategy. Because they know in Nigeria, if you don't have the establishment supporting you, even if you win, they will steal it from you. Olufalaye said it was stolen from him. If you ask me, I will say we won the election in 2023. It was stolen from us. Because we didn't have...
Peter Obi won the election.
That's my belief. In 2023, I believe it. But they stole it from us.
Let me ask you.
And if you do it again, they will steal it again from you. Because there is no incumbent to back you. But if you bring somebody from the North, nobody will prevail on him to leave his victory.
Quickly.
Because, yes, because he's not from the same side with you.
Yeah, quickly. How do you then tell Nigerians
yes,
that the ruling party has said These people are spent. They've been in power. What new thing do they want to bring? How do they defend the failures of the past government, which they were part of? Some past governors, past ministers. How do you defend that the failures of this country in the past, you are coming and you say you want to redeem it? Would Nigerians believe the coalition and some of the elements in it?
Okay, let me give you an example. The worst of PDP now has become better than the best of APC. Assuming you talk about an article, if he can take us to Obasanjo days, are we not going to celebrate? Assuming. Because the performance of APC has beatified. PDP has beatified. Whoever served, for instance, in Obasanjo's government, they paid off all our debts. You remember? And we were not owing. APC has borrowed Nigeria into about 177 trillion naira in debt, without nothing to show for it. We are enjoying darkness, not light. We have told you now, people cannot fly to go and come back. I've told you how flawed. Took away 500 persons in Niger State. The president has not gone to commiserate with them. I've told you how 500 persons were roasted by terrorists in Benue State. Now, if you get a president, assuming who was with Obasanjo, there was no security problem then. We were moving in the right direction. No debt, our economy became the largest in Africa. Assuming, wouldn't you be happy?
Right.
So when they say the same old people, please, APC should stop lying.
So guys, tell me what you think about Keneth Okonkwo. In fact, before we start talking about INEC, tell me what you think about Keneth Okonkwo. Do you think what he's saying actually makes sense, or he's just being a hater right now? Because with the efforts, Keneth Okonkwo was using to support Peter Obi in the past election, nobody would have expected that right now he would just turn his back totally. Anyway, just tell me what you think, about Keneth Okonkwo. And let's talk about Peter of Nigeria. This guy has been sounding INEC reform for a long time. And the truth about it is we need INEC reform, because how are you sure that this particular election is not still going to be the way it was in the previous year, in 2023? We are planning to vote in 2027, and we have not talked about INEC. And this was what Peter had to say.
Members of the opposition coalition party ADC in Nigeria and all opposition politicians in Nigeria today, I beg you, every Nigerian, once you see this video, tag every opposition politician you know and every politician for Nigeria today for them to get this message. Please, members of the coalition and opposition politicians in Nigeria, now when we don't form coalition, why are we not hearing your voices to join the call for electoral reform to fix INEC in this country? Abina, so una come trust INEC reach. Is it that you now have full confidence in INEC as an unbiased electoral umpire to do the right thing in 2027? Because the only reason in Nigeria today why we believe that every time there must be a coming together of people to form coalition to remove a sitting government is because we know that INEC has become the criminal agency and the weapon fashion against Nigeria. No matter the number of persons who contested the 2023 presidential election, there was a winner. INEC knows the winner. The people in Asu Rock know the winner. Judiciary knows the winner. They know the actual votes that came from places like Lagos and Rivers State. Immediately after the presidential tribunal, every attention was supposed to have been turned to INEC and the National Assembly. But we keep quiet for 2 years. And because we have permitted that, the criminality that took place in 2023, they want to consolidate on it in 2027. That is why Professor Mahmoud, the INEC professor of glitch, is still moving around pretending to be an unbiased electoral umpire, when he don't fail to tell Nigerians what caused the glitch and how we must protect our electoral process from human interference. We as Nigerian youths, our own decision and our request is simple. We want free, fair, credible and peaceful elections. We have already been taking steps, And we want every opposition politician to come out now and lend their voices. You cannot leave this fight to just a handful of people. After all, under President Jonathan, now the same APC and President Tinubu, now them lead Occupy Nigeria protests or removal of subsidy. The same subsidy where they don't remove today and the money cannot be accounted for. So why should opposition politicians be afraid to take the fight and lead this cause for electoral reform in Nigeria? The real primary victims of INEC for 2023, now those of una wey contest the election. Now una wey be say una supposed to dey put una mouth to say INEC must do the right thing. But somehow, we no dey hear anything from una part again. So I thank God beg you opposition politicians, you must join this call for fixing INEC. We must put a spotlight on INEC and the National Assembly. They are claiming to be doing zonal public hearing. Senate don't do their own. House of Reps will soon do their own. By the time it gets to the floor, all attention must be turned to the National Assembly. The Occupy National Assembly must also have the opposition politicians, even Nigerian Labour Congress. Anybody who means well for this country at this point must join the call to fix INEC. INEC cannot remain the weapon fashion against us. Now, because of INEC, now I make the ADA party, All Democratic Alliance, they not go register them because INEC does not want to register new political parties. There is no political will. All of you know what is going on. You cannot decide to keep quiet. This country, if we want to liberate it, we must liberate it holistically, not taking power through coalition for the sake of power. We beg you, opposition politicians, join this call. I don't know all the people where they there, but the ones where I go mention, the ones where we no mention, tag them and ensure that they get this message and join this call for fixing INEC. The chairman of the ADC interim, Senator David Bonaventure Lechenuma, former Senate President, Ogbeni Rauf Adesoji Aregbesola, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, Your Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Malam Nasir Rufai, Honorable Rotimi Chibuka Amechi, Honorable Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, Honorable Senator Aminu Waziri Tambawal, Alhaji Sule Lamido, Alhaji Mwazu Babangida Aliu, the Chief Servant, Senator Lia Limoke, former Governor of Cross River State, Senator Gabriel Towa Suswan, former Governor of Benue State, Prince Uche Secondus, former PDP National Chairman, Chief Dele Momodu, Ovation International, Senator Dino Melaye, Senator Abubakar Bukola Saraki, former Senate President, Honorable Babachi Lawal, former Secretary to Government of the Federation, Chief John Odige Oyegu, former APC National Chairman, Chief Tommy Kimi, Honorable Emeki Hedioha, the former Governor of Imo State, Dr. Sam Ominyegu, former Governor of Ebonyi State, and every other member of the coalition. Tag them, let them see. Now, so una don't trust INEC reach. What is your plan? We must have a multifaceted approach. We must protect, cover every loophole in the Electoral Act, protect that electoral process, and then mobilize to protect our votes on the day of election. We cannot leave it to chances. This reign of terror must end. Please send a message to them. God bless Nigeria. My name is Peter for Nigeria.
So before I show you other videos, tell me what you think about it in the comment section.
They've got 2 years to sort this out, okay? And I imagine they'll sort it out this year. I think that Atiku, for whom I do have some respect, genuinely, he's not perfect, but I think he's got some good points, some strengths in his character. I think Atiku should become the daddy of this thing. He should become a statesman who stands behind Peter and whoever his running mate will be, which I hope is Dati. Well, I mean, I don't know, it could be somebody else. I took a shine to Dati because he's so outspoken. But that doesn't mean I agree with everything he says. But I quite like people who say what they're thinking, you know, in straight shooters. Anyway, I think Atiku should be the father in this situation. He shouldn't compete with them anymore. If you like, they almost beneath him. He's a former vice president. He's nearly 80. Yeah? And I think if Atiku does that and rallies the northern vote, I think they could do rather well.
But some would make the argument that when you compare Atiku in terms of age with Tinubu, and Tinubu is obviously planning to run again, at least that's what we think at this point, in 2027, then there's absolutely no reason why Atiku shouldn't run. I mean, you yourself said on one of your programs that Tinubu is not a spring chicken when it comes to age, and that it won't be the end of the world if his time in office ends in 2027, having served one term. But clearly he's planning to run. Nobody's sitting down. I mean, a lot of people are focusing on Atiku in terms of age, but nobody's really talking that much about Tinubu himself as well. And he clearly is already incumbent, and he's, you know, fully planning to run in 2027.
Well, he shouldn't. There are lots of things we all do that we shouldn't do. We're human. He's enjoying the power. If he can still stand on his two legs and, you know, mount a pulpit or a rostrum, he can go ahead, but he's too old, in my opinion. I think we need, you know, slightly younger people. And so I'm not discriminating against Atiku. I think both Atiku and Tinubu should stand aside. I do. And not just because of age, where Tinubu is concerned. I want to lodge a serious complaint against Tinubu. I think he's really bad for this country. I used to have some regard for him. But after what he's done in Rivers State with the state of emergency...
That's your state.
My state. I'm just appalled by his behavior. And then there are so many other things. Like, you're coming in from the airport, and every single lamppost has a poster of Tinubu on it. The same thing along many of the highways in town. What kind of cult of personality nonsense is this? You're supposed to be using those billboards as a means to celebrate the country and what it has to offer. They should be saying things like, welcome to Abuja, come to the cultural center, blah, blah, blah. It's all him, him, him. So I don't like this cult of personality. I think it's unhealthy. I think it's tyrannical. And I would really, really like to see him move on. And do you know what? Nobody's all bad. They say that things like some of his, even the mighty Financial Times newspaper of the United Kingdom recently wrote an article in which it praised Tinubu for certain economic moves. I mean, I didn't agree with the article, but hey, I'm not an economics expert. And so there are, you know, there are some things that... What I want to say is that when you have a situation where somebody is glaringly more popular than everybody else in a coalition, the obvious solution is for other coalition members to support that person as the leader of the coalition. So all this one where, oh, will it be Amici? Will it be Atiku? Will it be Peter? Will it even be one of the others? If the coalition has any sense, they will all stand behind Peter Obi and support him to the hills, because he's their only chance, in my opinion.